Hello and welcome. It's Raina from Sofiri here, coming live to you from Australia. So today we're talking about MBA programs. I'm really excited to chat with two experts in the field today, in the field of education, about MBA programs. So I'm pleased to introduce Dr. Nicholas Hamelin from the Jain School of Global Management, and also George Hernandez from Sofiri. So
Hi.
both of you are in Sydney today. So tell us how it's looking in Sydney today.
Well, it's a bit cloudy and it's rainy, but it's really warm and nice. It's a bit of a change from the winter we had. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm in the west part of Sydney, and over here it's a bit more sunny. So it's amazing because we're in the same city, and where Nicholas is may not be as sunny as it is here. But yes, definitely, there's been a slight change in the weather, and for days it's been cold, but until now it's actually warmer. Thank you.
Nice. Great. Well, I'm very pleased to have you both join us today. For our friends joining us on Facebook and in our webinar today, I'll tell you a little bit about the agenda we have for our chat. So we're going to begin with a discussion about the MBA. And then we're going to open up for a question and answers segment where we'll talk through any questions you have about the MBA for Dr. Nicholas or George. And we'll wrap up the session by taking you through a tutorial on how to get your own education counsellor as well, so you can continue this conversation offline. So for our friends joining us on Facebook or our webinar, send us an emoji or a greeting to let us know that you're here, and shoot us any questions that come to mind as well throughout the session, and we'll answer them as we go. Okay, so I've got a few questions here for you both, but I want to start with a very broad question. So who is the Master of Business Administration course designed for? What type of student is it for? Nick, can I ask you that one?
well, yeah, sure. Well, basically, for me, it's if you have been studying, let's say, engineering or science or anything but has some technical background and you want to move into business, that's a really good way to become very proficient. But that's not only that. If you are an entrepreneur or think of you want to become one, that's also a very good course because it's going to give you very broad and general skills to help you, start your business and be successful. So I think for whoever is interested by, um, business, but when I say business, I mean not just the monetary aspect. You could also do an MBA if you want to work for an NGO, for example.
Hmm.
If you want to work for Greenpeace, or if you want to work for, you know, any organization, basically. Because it gives you some really good management skills, some really good financial skills, some very good marketing skills, which are really skills that you will be needing all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great answer. I guess another question that leads into is one that's a pretty hot topic, and that's around, the piece of paper which can help you, get a career of your dreams or help you step up or get promotions in the career path that you're already on. And that the quality of the education that you get, you hear a lot about it just being a piece of paper. What do you say to people who comment in that way?
Yeah, it can't just be a piece of paper. You really have to choose where you do your MBA very carefully.
Yeah.
So what we do here at SP Jain, we make sure that it's not just a piece of paper. So the first thing is that our courses are global, meaning that you'll be studying in three different countries, very different countries, from a very Western country, which is Australia, to the Middle East in Dubai, and then an Asian country, which
Yeah.
is Singapore.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And a second thing, you will also be given very, very practical project, research project. And most of the time, we expect the student to be able to even publish their project.
Yeah.
So in not just academic journal, but also like Forbes or any good publication, just to show that whatever research we do, it's a good international level.
Great. Great. I guess that takes me to ask you about SB Jain's postgraduate programs. And there are two standout postgraduate programs, a global MBA and a Master of Global Business as well. So I'd like to learn a little bit more about these courses from you, but you also mentioned a tri-city approach. And that's not something I've heard from any other MBA that I've ever come across. So I really want to know more about that as well, if that's all right.
Yeah, so basically when you do your MBA, it's a very quick MBA, so it's very intense. A lot of courses together, and the thing is, you are completely immersed in a different culture.
Yeah.
First, you'll be living in Singapore, and you'll be doing a research project in Singapore. You will be doing your research project with big global company that are based in Singapore. You will be given a supervisor that is part, which is Singaporean. When you move to Dubai, and very much the same thing. Then you move to Sydney, and again the same thing. So whatever your interaction is going to be very, very deep, and you'll be able to interact with very different management system, way of thinking as well. That's one thing. Second thing is that I'm from France, but you have also American professor, Indian professor, German professor, professor from Iran, just all over the world. So you'll have to deal with like trying to understand my accent, but also a German accent or a Chinese or an Indian accent. Which is part of doing business. Business is global, so you need to be able to communicate.
Yeah.
I guess to that point, Rina, many international students in Australia think that when they will come to Australia, as an example, their professors will be Australian, and the reality is very different. The faculties in Australia, in Australian universities, are quite international, whether you're doing business or even science as well. So it's very common to have professors from multiple parts of the world. And when we're talking about business, Nicholas actually makes a really good point that business these days is very international, and you have to deal with people coming from different parts of the world with different accents. So this will really help you, especially if you're coming from a country where you're used to just a single language, and from all the professors to be from the same country.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this live video session is a good intro to that course then, if we've got a French accent, an Australian accent, and a Colombian accent as well. So I'm hearing a lot about how, perhaps MBAs aren't all created equal. And Nick, I'm wondering if you can tell me, perhaps the top 2 or 3 things that you feel people who are considering studying an MBA should look for when they're doing their research.
I think really important, they should first check, how much it is, because that's,
Cost. Yeah.
it's cost. It can be a really big expense, and you don't want to spend too much and then don't find a job. And the second thing is going to be placement. Placement is really important. We managed to place, I think 99% of our students are placed in a company, either in Singapore, Dubai, or even Sydney. Now, the placement, most of the time, is turned into a full-time employment. And that's really important because you want return on your investment. That's a very important aspect of getting this piece of paper. It's not just a piece of paper; it's a door to something else.
Yeah.
And an important thing as well is that you need to know what you want to do. What's your goal? I mean, if you want to stay in your country, maybe a global MBA is not really what you need. But again, that would be a mistake because the business is global. So even if you are based in one of the tiny Lithuanian country or Indonesia, and you think you want to stay home, well, the chances that you'll be dealing with the planet,
Yeah.
So that's another important thing.
Great. So there we have cost. And then we have how international the degree is as well. So let's talk about the cost for a second. So George, you're the founder of a business in international education. You can tell us a little bit about costs and fees of MBA programs typically.
So MBA programs in Australian universities tend to be just above the average price for most postgraduate programs. And most postgraduate programs tend to average in between 25 to 30,000 Australian dollars per year. And you can see that the MBAs are usually taught by specialized school of business that exists within university. Classic examples are AGSM and GSM and so on. And they basically have a markup on the price for their MBAs,
Yeah.
where you could be investing $80,000 to $100,000 a year for a 2-year MBA. So that's MBAs, and that's what I'm saying, that the prices for MBAs are definitely higher than just the average Masters of Commerce or that sort of thing.
Great.
Yeah, one thing, if I may, in the list of important things, placement. I repeat, getting your school to place you in a company is very important.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I want to talk about that for a minute in terms of, really applying your learnings to your career. And I know that your MBA graduates at SP Jain last year, they had of your global MBA, they experienced an average salary increase of 5.5 times, and that's enormous. That's really something to be proud of. Can you give us a few examples of some graduates who have studied with you and what they've gone on to achieve?
Was it's very, very diverse. I mean, a lot of them have been employed or are employed now by big corporations from Procter and Gamble, Unilever, BMW, Jaguar. Some have started their own businesses and been very successful. One girl started her own NGO, and she's now providing free education all over India for little kids.
Wow.
Well, basically, it's very, very diverse, and it just gives people the drive to do something. Either to become manager, which is a good thing, but also to become entrepreneur and maybe to become also social entrepreneur. One of the ex-students came to me yesterday and is working for a company that is using solar cells. So we are selling solar cells, installing solar cells. We have someone that is now moved to the US and working for a film company. So very, very diverse. I mean, basically, the sky's the limit. Whatever you want to do, you can. It just really prepare you to be flexible, to adapt, and to follow what you want to do.
Yeah, that's really inspiring to hear people who've come through the program and are doing really great things now. It's always nice to see where people have gone before you, I think. We have Binod and Ashish here on Facebook saying hello. So hello. On our webinar and on Facebook, please ask us questions. I've only got a few more questions left for Nick and George before we come on to our Q&A session.
I wanted to follow up on your question that you did to me before about the fees. And one of the reasons we actually work with SPN is not only the reputation and of course the uniqueness of the program of being so international and teaching in different locations. We find that they're quite competitive when it comes to those fees as well in the world of MBAs. Their MBA in Australian dollars, it's around 75,000 for the 1 year, but that includes all the accommodation while in Dubai and health insurance and GST and taxes and everything. So that's the comprehensive fee. Yeah. So when you compare that to, say, for instance, an MBA, the University of Sydney, for example, the University of Sydney does offer an MBA that does get you for you to do some work overseas and all of that, but you're looking at something like 95,000 as a minimum, and that doesn't include accommodation for the MBA, global MBA as an example.
Yeah, thank you. I have a question here from Binod, who has said that they've done a bachelor course. And so next, what course can they take? And that's a great question, especially in the context of an MBA. What do you recommend, Nick, for someone who's just finished their bachelor course? Should they go straight on to an MBA, or do you recommend that they go out into the workforce first?
Well, so we have two options. So either you can start straight away with an MBA, which is also a good option, and we call that the MGB, Master of Global Management, and or you could just get a job and get some experience, and then come back and do an MBA. Generally, what people will recommend would be to spend maybe a year or two in the workforce. The problem with that is that you might just get stuck there. And once you're in a job, it's really, really difficult to, I say, make the effort, the financial effort, to study again. So this is one of the biggest dangers. So generally, I would recommend that, start straight away. Do your MBA straight away. It's very competitive out there. Okay. When you're with a bachelor, I mean, your salary will be very, very, I say, limited.
Yeah.
An MBA will give you an edge also. And also it will give you a vision of the world which you won't have just coming out of that bachelor. I mean, it's going to broaden your horizon in a way.
Yeah, that's great advice. Look, in terms of the prerequisites for your postgraduate course that someone can do immediately from their bachelor's degree, could you tell us a bit about that, the prerequisites?
Yeah, I'm not really in the recruitment part, but
Okay.
we have a test, an entry test, and then we have to write an essay, and then we have to talk to one of us, one of the professor. I think some good level of GPA, and that's it. Basically, we want to know how the candidates, the student is going to fit with us.
Yeah.
Basically, you know why? Because it's complete immersion. So when you're in Dubai, you live with the other students. Well, you can choose your own apartment away from them if you want to, but it's very, very tight community. So, which is really good. There's a lot of nice synergy. It's very important for us that we choose people that are able to have a global perspective, and they don't mind, doing project with people from China or people from Europe or a German student or somebody from Mexico, for example.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting, actually.
Hey, Rinandara, NGB is a 16-month program. So this is the Master Goal. This is a 16-month program that comes with a 4 months internship. And the experience, as Nick previously mentioned, you may not have any experience. Of course, it's always recommended if possible, but if you don't have any, you can qualify, unlike the global MBA and MBA, where you do require to have 3 years of experience.
Great. Well, Bernardo, I hope that answers your question. Keep asking us a few questions if you have any. In a moment, we'll take you through a tutorial on how to continue this conversation with your own education counsellor, so stay tuned. But I have a few more questions for you both, and our watchers will ask their questions as well in the Q&A panel and the comments here. But let's see. So your global MBA has won internationally recognised awards. Can you share with us what these awards are?
Well, we are like top 20 in Forbes. We've always been really, really well ranked. We also one of the awards from the students themselves. Very much been very, very happy with their learning experience. So we ranked top in Australia. And globally also we rank top. Mostly it's based on the salary increase. So in terms of being the 1-year MBA, this is the only 1-year MBA that will give you such a big, huge increase in your salary. So as you say, 5 times. and it's very quick and very efficient.
Great. That's a nice little handful of awards for just a single program. So well done.
Well, it's to be honest, it's quite impressive right now. We're talking
Yeah,
about top 20 in the world. We
it's huge.
basically there are over 10,000 education institutions in the world. You can say there's something like 2,000 to 5,000 universities in rankings, and so to achieve that, yeah, it's fundamental.
Yeah. Look, I have a question here from Hannah in our webinar, and she's asked what specializations she can study as part of an MBA. Could you answer that one for us, Nick?
Yeah, so there is marketing, finance, logistic. Sorry, I don't know the other. I'm the marketing professor here,
Okay.
but finance, logistic, and marketing.
Okay.
What do we do? Maybe there's another one, George. You know?
Well, there's accounting as well.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Great.
But taking advantage of the fact that your area of experience is marketing, do you mind telling us also a little bit about what's the difference in between marketing at a postgraduate level in an MBA and what it will be then the type of marketing that will be taught in a bachelor's degree? What makes the difference?
The difference, it's a lot more advanced and a lot more practical. So when I say a lot more advanced, I also teach neuromarketing and neuroscience, which is really the new frontier in market research, when we are going to analyze your brain signal, your skin conductance, your heart rate, and find out, if you really like advertising a product. I have a little example here, and this is one of the things we show the students. We have an entire lab, so you connect your head to this. So if you're going to spend $200 million, working on an advertising, you need to make sure that it's efficient. Now, you can ask people question: do you like it? Do you think it's a nice ad? Or you can just measure their emotional reaction. And then this is what we are doing. I mean, we're trying to use technology and teach people how to use the latest advance in technology. So they are market ready. So if you look at big companies like Nielsen, like Procter & Gamble, like TNS, they are now moving to neuroscience, and this is what we teach. So this is one of the techniques we teach. I mean, we also try to put blockchain and big data and all that. So our classes are not boring. You always get to do something every single class. You need to get your computer and try things out and go to do your project. You're not stuck in a classroom sitting, hours and hours a day. You do things, and you do things that are useful. You build a very good practical know-how, and you become market ready.
Actually, I have another question, please. And at the beginning of today's session, you talk about entrepreneurs and how this was a program that was also geared towards that segment, and it's people that not necessarily might have been coming from engineering or science, but people that want to start their own business. So to those ones that do have a bachelor's in multiple areas, but really want to get into creating their own business, what makes a difference starting with you guys and then just doing a master's of commerce or that type of thing?
So imagine you're in a class with students from all over the world, with different perspectives, different ideas, and then the professor in front of you is somebody that comes from, is not just an academic, it's somebody that worked before, as industry experience, or is still working. For example, I have a startup, and I used to work for Nokia. So now you're in a really real world environment where you are going to test your idea with people around you, with people that come from a global environment, and you're going to also test your idea with professor. It's not just a book. I mean, knowledge today, everybody can go on Google and learn something. Knowledge needs to be practical. and tested and experienced. And this is really what we do. We provide um, practical knowledge and advanced knowledge as well, using the latest technology.
I think you're making a really good point because of what you're saying about you having created your own company. So you do have that experience, and it's not just simply an academic. This is where, in so many cases, some universities that employ academics only that are not working at the same time fail at being able to teach entrepreneurship to someone when they haven't even done it themselves. So I guess probably that's a good point to say that it's different in your case, right?
It's correct, George. I think there's a sentence that I like to use, to know one, you need to be one. So you can't teach if you haven't done it yourself. And when I was working for Nokia, you were talking about, interacting with 50,000 people all over the world globally. And then all the wrong choices we made as well that brought some of the company down, well, there's also a learning experience, So basically we share what we've done. We share our failure, we share our success, and this is what makes the class really lively.
Wonderful. Well, we've had a few more people join us in both our sessions. And we have a question here from Petrina. And she's asked, if I know I want to work in marketing, should I study an MBA or a Master of Marketing? It's a hard question.
Yeah, that's a really tough question. I'd say an MBA is good because marketing by itself is I'm not saying it's very limited, but in business you need other skills. For example, if you have a little startup later on, and if you manage a company, you need to know something about logistics, and you need to know something about accounting. So all this knowledge are also very, very important for you to master.
Yeah.
And later on, it's also going to give you more opportunity. You might find out that, well, maybe you want to go into, financial marketing or, work for an NGO. So really try to broaden your scope and what you know and what you learn.
Rina, the other thing is that even if you were to work as a marketing director, you still need to deal with things like budgets and HR and other areas of the business that not necessarily you will be studying if you were to do just a master's of marketing. So these days, it's expected that managers and directors have knowledge in other areas of the business and not just simply the area. Now, it goes the other way around for someone that, for instance, is, say, in charge of finance. And as much as they're in charge of finance, they are expected to have a little bit of understanding of how HR works, how marketing works, and those sort of things. So it's the other way around for other parts of the business too.
Wonderful. We have Sunil here who said, thank you so much, Dr. Nicholas. That sort of confusions I've got too. So there you go. Thank you for your answers so far. So I have another question here from our webinar, and that's how much does the brand name of a university matter when studying an MBA? That's also a tough question. We've got a few of them here today. Can I put that out to both of you to answer?
Yeah, I'd say it is important, but you also have to look at the country where you do your course, your MBA. So, for example, you might choose, an institution with a brand name which is not very famous. But if you do it in Australia, for example, you've got the brand name of Australia. Or if you do it in Switzerland, for example, you've got the brand name of Switzerland. Which, we, for example, SB Jain, I won't say we have a really famous brand name, but we are Australian. We are accredited by the Australian government. But also recognized in Dubai. We're the first institution in Dubai as well. And in Singapore, we are doing really well and being very, very famous. So brand name is important, but the country as well is very important. What people want now, what employers want now is somebody that is very global and can prove he has a global experience.
Wonderful, thank you. I'm just going to put out a call out to our last question. So we're only going to take two more questions, and I'll ask one of them now. And it's around scholarships. So maybe George can help us with this one. But what kind of scholarships are available to people who are thinking about studying an MBA in Australia, George?
Well, I'll start by saying that scholarships tend to be awarded to students that have an academic background that is outstanding. No one can expect to have a scholarship just because. In fact, you cannot expect to have a scholarship just with an average GPA back in your undergrad or your A levels or your high school grades.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of the things that we probably need to demystify in this case, given that the word scholarship is thrown around all the time.
Yeah.
And SPJ does offer scholarships for sure. And the thing is that what's important is for the student to understand that you need to have the academics. And I think that's the first thing. They do it based on the application, so they can assess that. And so many times they even grant it if they can actually see it. If you do have really good grades, universities will recognize that. SP Jain and others as well.
Yeah.
So
I'd say we're like really generous with scholarship. So as George say, academic is important, but if you've done something really special, like run a business, done really great with charity, we also consider that. It's not just a grade and GPA. We also look at anything else, any achievement that has impacted society. We'll be looking at that.
Wonderful. So I have our last question here. And it's about internships. And that's what we were talking about earlier. And Nick, you were talking about how important that is. And the question is around what kind of internships and work placements are available during the degree, or how you can connect people. I think how you can connect people with organizations where they may be able to get internships.
Okay, we have a team. We have a team of people. But their job is to find and to place you. So we work with you. We have a list of companies, and so if you are in Singapore, Dubai, or in Sydney, you'll be placed. Okay. So now it's not always the case. I mean, if you want to, sometimes you might want to stay in Sydney, but we'll find something for you in Singapore. So we don't really guarantee where we place you, although most of the time you get your first choice, but we do place you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, that brings us to the end of our question and answer segment. And thank you to you both. We've certainly asked you some challenging questions here today. But what I'm going to do now is show everyone who's joined us how you can continue this conversation one-on-one. So I'm going to pop a link in our webinar software so you can see that video on YouTube. But if you've joined us on Facebook, stick around, stay tuned. And I'm going to show you how you can get that done now. But for now, I'll say goodbye and thank you to George and Nick. It's been wonderful to hear your thoughts on this topic today, and to hear your advice for our friends here who are considering MBA study. So thanks guys again. I'll let you go now, and I'll start this tutorial. So thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone, thanks for joining our live video session today. What I'm going to do now is show you how to get your very own Sofiri education expert. You'll get free education counselling that is tailor-made for your situation, and you can chat about courses, universities, colleges, or whatever it is you're after from your education journey in Australia. They'll also help you make your application and even apply for a student visa if you need one. All right, here we go. So if you're not already signed up to Sofiri, head over onto sofiri.com and click sign up. Enter in the email address you'd like to use along with a password and hit the sign up button. You'll be sent an email asking you to verify that it was you who signed up with us. So all you need to do here is click through the email and you're in. Okay, so at the beginning you'll see a quick little video showing you how Sofiri works. And I do recommend giving it a watch if you have some time. Once you click on My Profile, you'll need to enter in a few of your details so our education experts can have a good idea of where to begin a conversation with you. We are HTTPS and hosted in Australia, so you can be confident that your details are 100% secure. You'll need to enter in your given name, your surname, your date of birth, your email address, your country of citizenship, your current location, and your phone number. In the additional details box, you can select your highest level of study achieved and your latest degree and language that you prefer to chat in to give your education expert a little bit more information about yourself. Once you've done this, it'll be time to choose your education expert. So you'll click on Find an Expert, and in the box here you'll enter in where you'd like to study, what discipline you'd like to study, and your intended level of study. And that's important for you to pop in there because that's information that will again be sent to your education expert so that they can have the best information possible to help inform their advice to you. So I'm having a look at the listings here and I can see that there's Laurie here with 13 years of experience. She's from Sydney, Australia, and she speaks English. So I'm going to read more about Laurie. And I can see that I'm happy with her bio and I'd like to have a chat with her directly. So I'm going to click Choose. So Laurie's online right now. I can see from that little green highlighted box next to her name. And I can expect Laurie to respond to me as soon as she's seen my message. She's got my details, so she knows a little bit about my story and will soon be able to start talking about courses and universities or colleges. Laurie will also make a study application on my behalf once I've chosen where and what I'd like to study. We can make up to 3 applications together and she'll guide me through the whole process. So this is an important piece of information for you to know, which is that all the guidance and advice and services that Laurie provides me with are completely free. So if I choose to accept my offer at a university or college, I'll pay the same course fees to them as if I'd done it myself with them directly. So Laurie is simply here to make the entire process easier for me. And that's it. So you can head on over now to sofiri.com to sign up. And again, I'd like to thank you for joining our live video session today. And if you head on over to Facebook and find this video recording, feel free to post up any more questions that you have for us about the topic we've spoken about. We're more than happy to answer you. And I hope to see you at more of our sessions in the future.